मालिक सलाम अलैकुम महबूब भाई। इन्नल्लाह व मलाइकतहु युसल्लूना अलन नबी या अय्युहल्लज़ीना आमनू सल्लु अलैहि व सल्लिमू तस्लीमात। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मुहम्मदिन व आलि मुहम्मद। सुब्हानल्लाहि वल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि वला इलाहा इल्लल्लाहु वल्लाहु अकबर। अल्लाहु अकबर अल्लाहु अकबर अल्लाहु अकबर अल्लाहु अकबर। अशहदु अन ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह अशहदु अन ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह अशहदु अन्ना मुहम्मदर रसूलुल्लाह। अशहदु अन्ना मुहम्मदर रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम। अशहदु अन्ना अमीरल मोमिनीना व इमामल मुत्तकीना अलियन वलियुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम। अशहदु अन्ना अमीरल मोमिनीना व इमामल मुत्तकीना अलियन हुज्जतुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम। हय्या अलस सलाह हय्या अलस सलाह हय्या अलल फलाह हय्या अलल फलाह हय्या अला खैरिल अमाल हय्या अला खैरिल अमाल। अल्लाहु अकबर अल्लाहु अकबर। ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अल्लाहुम्मा जल क़ल्बी बारा व अमली सारा व शिकारा व रिज़्क़ ज़रा व औलादी अबरारा वजअल इंद क़ब्र नबिय्यिका सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि व आलिहि वसल्लम मुस्तक़र्रन व क़रारा बिरहमतिका या अरहमर राहिमीन। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि।
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي كان موجودا قبل حدوث الأشياء ويبقى بعد فناء الأشياء تفرد بالأولية والقدم ووسم كل شيء ما عداه بالفناء والعدم كما قال عز الشان كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه وكل نفس ذائقة الموت وقال كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام. سبحان الله الذي سبحان من لا يخفى عليه اختلاف النيات ولا يعزب عن حماس العباد في الخلوات. سبحان الله الذي منه خلقة العباد وإليه المعاد. فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يرى ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يرى. نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو الملك الذي لا ينازع في ملكه ولا يضاد في حكمه. يعذب من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء ويرحمه من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء. تعذيبه المسيئين عدل وعفوه تفضل. ونشهد أن محمدا سيد المرسلين وخير المبشرين والمنذرين صلى الله عليه وآله الهداة المهديين من ركب سفينتهم نجا واهتدى ومن تخلف عنها ضل فغرق. وهوى أوصيكم من بعد الله بالاتسام بالتقوى فإنه حبل متين وأروة وثقى. قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فتعالى الله الملك الحق ولا تعجل بالقرآن من قبل أن يقضى إليك وحيه وقل ربي زدني علما. صدق الله العلي العظيم. الله. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I begin by advising myself and all of you to practice the piety and the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As I recited this ayat number 114 from Surah Taha, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in which addresses our Prophet, one of the important du'as that is associated with him is toward the end of this ayah where he says, وَقُرْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي ilman. That, O my Rabb, O my Lord, increase me in knowledge. As we come toward the end of the summer, and the summer break is ending, sadly for many, and the school will be resuming. And so you get this question all the time, do we have to? But why do we have to go to school anyway? And will I ever actually use the stuff that I'm being taught, for example? And the groans and the grimaces of back to school season start to creep up. After a summer that seems to have flown by, our kids are now gearing up for the grind of classwork, homework, extracurriculars, and those dreaded early mornings. Can we really blame them for their complaints? Not that I'm giving them any excuses, but we've all been through it, and we've all gone through it. Even the best students have had those days when all they wanted to do is stay cozy under the covers. And we will not even mention how back to school also affects the parents, and throwing a wrench into the work-life balance when our kids are dreading school, and we are feeling the burnout before the first bell even rings. It is time to take a step back. Like it or not, learning is a part of life. With the right mindset, this season can be a chance for the entire family to center ourselves and nurture and spiritual well-being. Here are 3 tips that we want to share in this khutbah today to get us right back on track as we begin this new season. Now, there are many tips that you will find and have been discussed in the past, or you will learn a few more things. But of course, you don't limit everything to only these few tips that are being given right now. The first tip that we can introduce, and this is not just for the children, but for the entire family, is remember the why part. Why do we need this education? Why do we need to study? Why do we need to learn? Why do we need to be educated? Education holds a special place in our Islamic tradition, rooted in the history of learning, wonder, and discovery. While our children might not always grasp why school is necessary, we can help them see its value by sharing lessons from Quran and as well as from the tradition from the Prophet's life as well as the seerah of Aimma Athar. Since children love stories, presenting this information in an engaging and entertaining way can make all the difference. How you present is really what matters. By packaging these lessons in a way they can appreciate, we can inspire them to approach their education with a sense of purpose and curiosity. So it's not like, why should I do this? Why shouldn't I do this? There are many lessons about education you can share with your children. There are many traditions definitely about education that you can share with your children. In fact, some of these traditions should be memorized, if not already understood, but something which is zaban zad, where you always constantly remember them. There are many sayings that are always on your tongues. I'm sure all of us growing up learned this saying, innamal a'malu bin niyat. Everybody knows this hadith, that amal are based on the intentions and your niyat. Similarly, there are certain ahadith which should always be part of our daily usage. For example, this beautiful couplet by Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam al-Muttaqeen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam, where he said, Radina qismat al-jabbar fina, lana ilmun walil a'da'i mal. We are satisfied with the decision or the qismat of Jabbar lana in regards to us when he gave us ilm. He gave us ilm and he gave our enemy wealth. فَإِنَّ الْمَالَ يَفْنَى عَنْ قَرِيبٍ وَإِنَّ الْإِلْمَ بَاقٍ لَا يَزَالُ. Imam said, because we know that mal, of course, is going to decrease, deplete, and wither away, while ilm is something which is baqin la yazal. It will always remain. So therefore, education is an obligation for every Muslim. That has to be understood. I'm sure this hadith you've heard a great deal of time, and many of you already know this as well. What is that hadith? Hadith is talabul ilmi faridatun ala kulli muslimin, and in some riwayat ala muslimatin as well. Both genders are mentioned. That seeking knowledge is a wajib, is a farida on everyone, every Muslim and Muslimah. And then, if it wasn't enough, Amir al-Mu'mineen emphasized a great deal. When it comes to your value, when it comes to your worth, he says, أَكْثَرُ النَّاسِ قِيمَةً أَكْثَرُهُمْ عِلْمًا. The value of an individual is how much knowledge they possess. He said, وَأَقَلُّ النَّاسِ قِيمَةً أَقَلُّهُمْ عِلْمًا. And the disgrace or the devalue of an individual is based on how little they possess as far as the knowledge is concerned. So in the Quran, Allah even tells our Prophet to pray and for knowledge. Exalted is Allah, the true King. Do not rush to recite a revelation of Quran or Prophet before it is properly conveyed to you. And say what? My Lord, increase me in knowledge. So this is our Prophet, the one who is all knowledgeable from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bestowed with this great knowledge, yet he is still being commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to continue, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to increase as far as his ilm is concerned. One of the main stories in Quran is the story of Ashab al-Kahf. In Surah Kahf, of course, we're not going to talk about Ashab al-Kahf, but there's another story that is parallel to it, and that is the story that has to do with education. As we learn in the case of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, that even the prophets were made to learn. Who are we to think that we know it all? We already know everything. You know, the moment you start thinking that way, one of these stories you should remind yourself, and that is the story of Hazrat Musa alayhi salatu wasalam with Hazrat Khidr. Now, this is not mentioned in Quran, but the riwayat mentioned that Hazrat Musa was speaking to Bani Israel, and someone asked him, "Oh Musa, who is the most knowledgeable among the people?" He replied, "I am the most knowledgeable." So that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala admonished him, since he did not refer the knowledge back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah revealed to him, "A slave among my slaves at the junction of the two seas is more knowledgeable than you. O Musa, go seek knowledge from him." And right away, Hazrat Musa says, "What? Oh Allah, how can I find this person so that I can go ahead and attain knowledge?" And then you know the story of Hazrat Khidr and Hazrat Musa, how Hazrat Khidr kept on reminding him that you will never be able to show patience with me as far as the amal and the actions that I'm about to perform. Prophet Musa ﷺ's immediate reaction when he realized that he was not the most knowledgeable person was to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala how he could meet this highly educated individual. So the concept of seeking knowledge and concept of being in the presence of someone who has more knowledge than you. This too should be our attitude towards knowledge, always seeking to know more so that we can become better people. So that is number one. Understand the why part of it. Why do we need to educate ourselves? Why do we need to understand? Why do we need this ilm, whether it be secular or whether it be religious? There's a purpose behind it, and all of these riwayat that I shared, only a couple of riwayat that I shared, highlight the importance of this ilm. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And it would be befitting to close this first tip with another tradition from Amir al-Mu'mineen, in which he says, "Kafa bil ilmi sharafan an yaddi'ahu man la yuhsinu wa yafrahu idha nusiba ilayhi wa kafa bil jahli dhamman an yabra'a minhu man huwa fihi." He says, it is enough for the honor of ilm. Those who don't possess it, they claim it. وَيَفْرَحُ, that person becomes excited إِذَا نُسِبَ إِلَيْهِ, when someone calls him to be knowledgeable, even though they don't possess it. They're excited over it. وَكَفَى بِالْجَهْلِ ذَمًّا, and it is enough for the disgrace of ignorance is أَن يَبْرَأَ مِنْهُ مَنْ هُوَ فِيهِ. If you call a jahil, even he doesn't want to be called a jahil and ignorant. He said, I don't want to be called a jahil. They keep that thing away from me. So just that, if there wasn't anything else to highlight the importance of ilm and knowledge, this would be sufficient. Number two, establish meaningful routines. As we get back into the hassle of everyday's life, you know, of course you wake up in the morning anyway, but now with this added responsibility of getting the children ready, and in some of our cases, getting the kids to the school as well, dropping them off, picking them up, every seasoned parent knows that a well-managed home thrives on routine. You gotta have routine. Without routine, if you do things randomly every single day, you will have problems. Children need structure, whether it is for brushing their teeth, bathing, doing their chores, or completing their homework. Everything has to be by a routine and by a timetable. By establishing meaningful routines, we can not only pressure or prepare the day ahead, but also strengthen our bonds with our children and give our iman or faith a boost as well. Try incorporating these simple habits into your daily schedule. Number one, start the day with Salatul Fajr. Now the time of Fajr is increasing, getting close to 6 o'clock. 6:30 is sunrise, so you can pray at 6 o'clock. That's okay, even if you don't pray. Although one of the prayers which has the longest fadila time, albeit the shortest time spent altogether, is Salatul Fajr. Salatul Fajr you only have 80 to 90 minutes, and in some areas 70 minutes. But the longest fadila time is for Salatul Fajr. Like the first 35, 40 minutes is all the time of the fadilat of Salatul Fajr. Unlike other salat, where the fadila time is limited. But when it comes to this salat, make sure that you start the day with Fajr. Praying Fajr together will ensure that everyone is awake and able to get ready on time. If sometime, someone needs, for example, to take a shower or, do something else or to get dressed, and they have a light breakfast and even take a nap if you want before you go to school or head out to your door, make sure that you are able to wake up and pray as a family. That brings a lot of positive energy in the beginning of your day. You start out by the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm sure all of us are praying anyway, but individually. But if you start off by praying together, the leader of the house, the man of the house, for example, can be the imam and have the children stand behind and do the salat in Jamaat, the benefit of Jamaat, as well as making sure that we all have prayed in the beginning. Number two, this is easier even. Play Quran or your favorite du'as in the morning. You have these players, you have these gadgets, even on the phone or on the TV or any other players that you have. Put on Quran, for example, or your favorite du'as, for example. Or while it is the month of Ayyam Azam, the Nohas that you listen to. Although Nohas should not be limited to Ayyam Azam, they could be heard and listened to after Ayyam Azam are over. There's nobody stopping you from listening to the Noha in the month of Rajab, in the month of Shaban, in the month of Ramadan. So you can still listen to them. We think that it's only limited to the months of Muharram and Safar. No, so put on, for example, Quran throughout the morning. A daily dose of Quran in the morning is sure to lift everyone's spirit and get them ready to start the day on the right foot. Especially if there's a special dua and specific dua that you really like. All of these now duas have been recited by these reciters so beautifully, and they're all available on YouTube. You just put it on and you listen to it. That half-hour, 45-minute long dua, which we never get to listen to sometimes, is being played in the background while you're getting ready. Have the Quran playing on a device in your home in a central location like a living room or kitchen. Make it loud enough for everyone to hear. Even when you think that your children are not listening, the verses of Quran, inshallah, God willing, penetrate their hearts and leave a lasting impression. So without even much hassle, you're putting stuff. This is how the companies work. I don't need to teach you how the marketing tools work in this country that we live in. Every piece of music that is played behind every product that is sold is somehow related to it, so that it gives you that incentive to go ahead and even buy more and to continue to explore about it. Now that is a lesson for maybe another day. Third, make dua before leaving the house. So the second thing is routine, right? Under the routine, you start your day with Salatul Fajr. You play Quran or dua while you're getting ready, for example. And number three, make dua before leaving the house. Prophet of Islam, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Bismillah, tawakkaltu ala Allahi, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Yuqalu lahu, gufayta wa wuqayta wa tanahha anhu shaytan. Whoever says when he leaves his house, in the name of Allah, I trust in Allah, for there is no movement or might, la hawla wa la quwwat, except Allah, then it will be said to him that you have been sufficed and protected, and the devils will be far, far away from you. In the society that we live in, where every moment when we turn on the TV, when we listen to the radio, when we look around, there is always an opportunity, na'udhu billah, for sinning, and very difficult to protect our nafs and our nufus and our children, while when you do other measures to protect yourself, by lowering your gaze, for example, by making this dua before you step out of the house, this will also protect you as a shield in front of all the possible sins that are presented. And then pray for your children. Do not forget to pray for them as well, because parents' supplication for their children is one of the 3 that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will undoubtedly answer. You know why parents' dua for the children is accepted? Because the dua that parents do for the children is absolutely with khulus and sincerity. There's nothing in return that is being expected. It is absolutely with sincerity. What else can a father or a mother want from their children? So number 1, we discuss why part of the education. Number 2, establish meaningful routine. Number 3, positively reinforce good attitudes and behavior. So now as we are getting back to the normal routine of life after a long summer break, positively reinforce good attitudes and behavior. And you should be proud that you belong to this maktab of Ahl Bayt alayhi salatu wassalam, that you get to have the majalis for 2.5 months. That is, if anything it's doing is inculcating and enforcing that good nature and good behavior in your attitudes. While we strive to nurture our spiritual growth, it is also natural to be motivated by external rewards. So when children, it works best. Maybe for adults, it's also worked when you give them incentives. But for children, it definitely works when there are certain incentives and rewards are given. Positive reinforcement can be a powerful tool to encourage our children and ourselves, so then let's not forget ourselves either, to maintain a good attitude and behavior. But when it comes to kids, it might be with certain things that you add along with it for them to practice good characters and behavior. Consider small, meaningful rewards, like packing a special treat in their lunchbox, or picking up a favorite pastry or coffee on the way to school, for example, or promising an ice cream cone, or extra screen time at the end of the day. I don't know if I'll agree with that one. Extra screen time at the end of the day when they come back from school, for example. All of these are small little gestures and incentives that you're giving to your kids, in lieu of what? For example, if you were to go ahead and take care of your homework, if you were to go ahead and, for example, make sure the first thing that you do when you come back home is to perform your salat, for example, or other things that you want them to be in routine, go ahead and give them these incentives, which are small, which are minor, which is very minute, that you give them these incentives. When children have something to look forward to, they will be more eager to start their day on the right foot, give their best effort. They know something is to look after, something is to be coming afterwards. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I do all of these things because there's a reward that is waiting at the end of the day. Hal jaza'ul ihsan illa al-ihsan. Ayat of Quran says, is there any reward for goodness except goodness? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. But on a side note, after these 3 important, tips, if you want to call it, as the school year begins, let us remember that education is more than just academics, right? A lot of people are well educated, but that does not entirely mean that they are well trained as well. It is an opportunity to nurture our children's minds, their hearts, as well as their souls, whether it is the public or the private school. A school provides a unique environment where children can learn not only academic subjects, but also essential life skills. It is a place where they interact with peers, develop social skills, and learn the values of respect, responsibility, and empathy. These experiences help shape them into upright citizens and positive role models. By keeping the why part that we discussed in the beginning of school in focus, establishing meaningful routines, the second aspect of this tip, and using positive reinforcement, the third aspect of this tip, we can make back to school not just a season of transition, but a time of spiritual growth and connection as well. Even though this time may be grueling for students and taxing for parents, with a little patience, prayer, and creativity, we can turn these challenges into opportunities to strengthen our faith and our family bonds together. So always convert these sometimes grueling and may have some impact on your physical being and ability to something positive that you look forward to. May this school year bring growth, understanding, and meaningful experiences for our families and our children, inshallah. This ayat that I had recited in the beginning for you is from Surah Taha, ayat number 114. Although Prophet of Islam, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is making this dua, Qul Rabbi Zidni Ilman. One last point about it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He asks our Prophet to do something less in Quran, it's ibadat. He says, Ya ayyuhal muzammil, qum al-layla illa qalila. Don't do too much ibadat. Well, here may be different when it comes to our kids. We might have to get them incentive to do ibadat. But if anything, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling Prophet to not do too much and not be excessive is when it comes to ibadat. Overburdening yourself with ibadat after ibadat after ibadat. So the lesson for us could be in this, that yes, while there are so many mustahabbat that are available for us, if you just stick with the wajibat, that is sufficient for you. That is all Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is looking from you when it comes to your ibadat, the wajib aspect of it. Just take care of the wajib aspect of your ibadat. Don't worry about the mustahab part of it yet. Inshallah, when you are more spiritually strengthened and you're able to do all those things, the time will come. But this is the aspect that you see Quran does not say anywhere to Prophet, don't stop learning. It says don't do too much ibadat, but does not say don't learn too much. No, keep the door of learning and opportunities open. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq and ability that we strengthen our iman with the knowledge that is provided to us by Muhammadu Ali Muhammad. Inna asl hadith wa ablagh al-mu'idha kitabullah a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim bismillahir rahmanir rahim wal asri innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم سبحان من سبقت رحمته وغضب وبسط اليدين بالرحمة سبحان من لم يكلف نفسا إلا دون وسعها وعفى عن السيئات ولم يجاز بها سبحان من لا يزداد ولا ماس لعباد إلا كرما وجودا ولا كثرة الذنوب إلا عفوا وصفا نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو الملك إلا هو ولا توفى العباد بجوده والعباد المذنبين بحلمه ونشهد أن محمدا نبيه وحبيبه سيد المرسلين وشفي المذنبين بعثه رحمة للعالمين لقد أمركم الله في محكم كتابه بالصلاة على نبيه وحبيبه فقال تعليما لكم وتشريفا لسفيه إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. Before I continue and finish this second khutbah in Arabic, just a couple of reminders, as these are things that we need to be reminded often when it comes to prayer in Jamaat especially, and hopefully the sisters are also listening, that Namaz Jummah, it's something which happens once a week, and so although we shouldn't need any reminders about it, but it's okay for us sometimes we forget because we're busy with other things in our lives, that it's wajib when you make the niyat for namaz Jum'ah, you make the niyat of wajib qurbatan ilallah. With that wujub, you do not perform salatul dhuhr. So dhuhr is no longer needed if you perform the salatul Jum'ah with the niyat of wajib. Now there were maraji in the past who did not consider this to be wajib, especially all of them consider that in the presence of imam it will be wajib aini. But in the absence of imam, it's wajib ikhtiyari, meaning what? You have the choice to pray Jum'ah on Friday or you pray Dhuhr. But if you pray Jum'ah, then Dhuhr is no longer needed. That's number one. Number two, when it comes to any Jamaat prayers, all the rules of Jamaat should be in place as well. For example, that when you stand up, make sure that you're not going ahead of imam. One important aspect of Salatul Jummah is that Jummah is 2 rakat, replacing the 4 rakat of Dhuhr with the 2 khutbahs that are recited. The 2 khutbahs then become the integral part of Salatul Jummah, especially when you are present. Now, if you were not present and you were running late and you got here just in time of namaz jamaat, that is okay. Your Jummah is still intact. But when you are here, it is important and incumbent and wajib to pay attention and listen to the Jummah, even if it's being read in a language which you do not understand. So if I was reciting the Jummah khutbah entirely in Arabic and you don't speak a word of Arabic, still you'll have to listen to, because this is part of the Jummah prayer. Just like when you're praying, although we should know what we're saying in our salat, but the salat is entirely in Arabic. You could raise the same question, we don't know what we're saying, but nonetheless you still pray in Arabic. You don't pray in any other language. Same way, khutbah has to be heard and listened to. And thirdly and last point, make sure when you stand up in the congregation, although Jummah is 2 rakat, nobody is praying qasr for Jummah. It's not like you're going to sit before the salat ends. So make sure that we don't break the lines. But if your Salatul Asr is qasr, for example, sit in a place where you're not connecting others, especially in the ladies. I've heard a lot that sometimes their sisters would come, and when the Salatul Asr is going on, after the second rakah, they'll just get up and they'll leave, for example, leaving a gap between the rows and therefore disconnecting those who are praying in Jama'ah. So if your qasr, Salat is qasr, stand up after the second rakat, offer 2 rakat qaza if you have any. If not, just stay there and don't get up and leave so that the connection is not broken. Also, when it comes to joining in salat, so when you come for namaz al-Jum'ah, you can still come in the first rakat and join in the ruku, and still namaz al-Jum'ah will be okay for you, even though you missed the 2 khutbahs, even though you missed the 2 surahs. If you join, the last possible place to join is the ruku. So if you join in ruku, still namaz al-Jummah will be kafi and sufficient, yajzi or yujza from Salatul Dhuhr, and Salatul Dhuhr will no longer be required from you. So hopefully these reminders as we go along, inshallah, will continue to benefit us. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. اللهم صل على سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وإمام المسلمين وقائد الغر المحجلين أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى سيدة نساء العالمين وبدة خاتم النبيين فاطمة الزهراء بنت رسول الله صلوات الله عليها وعلى الحسن المجتبى والحسين الشهيد بكربلاء ولي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر ولي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي ولي بن محمد والحسن بن علي عليهم الصلاة والسلام. اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب الزمان ما هي آثار البدع والطغيان هادم ابن الشرك والنفاق حاسد الفر والبغي والشقاق صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آباء الكرام اتصل الليالي والأيام. اللهم عجل فرجا وسهل مخرجا واكحل ناظرنا بنظرة منا إليه وجعلنا من المستشهدين بين يديه وتفضل على أمرائنا المؤمنين بمزيد التوفيقات وازدياد الإقبال وعلو الدرجات. اللهم افعل بنا ما أنت أهله ولا تفعل بنا ما نحن أهله بجاه محمد وآله المعصومين صلوات الله عليهم أجمعين. اللهم اجعل ممن يذكر فتنفع ذكره إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين، وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم. ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا، بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين. قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون. وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائمة قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته يقوم ويقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. ربنا افرغ علينا صبرا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بجاه محمد وآله الطاهرين. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضعيف. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
ملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تسبيح جناب فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. All of us together. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة لابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرزك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Let us recognize the sponsors for today's Jummah lunch. It is the family of Mr. and Mrs. Naseem Hamid. Please recite Surah Fatiha for their deceased relatives as well as yours. Surah Fatiha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. This is a quick recap of announcements that were being made throughout, and the email was also sent out. Inshallah, this Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, we will be commemorating the wafat of our Prophet, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and shahadat of our second Imam, Imam Hassan Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam. The majalis on Sunday and Monday will be recited by Hujjat Islam Syed Sulaiman Hassan Abidi. Program on Sunday starts, September 1st starts with Namaz-e-Maghribain, but the program on September 2nd starts at 5:30. It's a Labor Day weekend, so we're starting before Maghrib so that we can finish everything by Namaz-e-Maghrib and you can go home for the next day. School is starting and all that stuff. And also it will be the day of the wafat as well, so tabut will also be taken out on that day. So be mindful, Sunday, September 1st, program starts with Maghrib, but on September 2nd, program inshallah will start at 5:30 p.m. and conclude with Namaz-e-Maghribain. Inshallah on Tuesday, when we commemorate the shahadat of our second Imam, Sheikh Muslim Mehdi Chawla will be reciting and addressing that majlis. That program will go back to the same timing of Namaz-e-Maghribain, starting at 7:45 p.m. So these are the last of the Majalis-e-Aza until the 8th of Rabiul Awwal, the Majlis, inshallah, of our 11th Imam. These are the last few days of Ayyam-e-Aza of this year's Muharram al-Haram, 1446. Make sure that we are still coming with the same enthusiasm in large numbers and paying tribute to our second Imam, our Prophet, as well as our 11th Imam. Other important programs that are coming up, inshallah, right after the Ayyam-e-Aza, September 14th and 15th. It's also on the TV in the foyer. Mizan Institute presents The Hour, Resurrection Day. Interactive workshop, inshallah, will be led by Sheikh Amin Rastani. He's already done another workshop in the past, was well received, and so inshallah we have him again to do this workshop. All the details are there. You do need to register for this. So the seats are limited. Make sure that you take advantage of that. That will be September 14th and 15th, Saturday and Sunday, 2-day program. Lunch, inshallah, will be provided for that as well. Following that, inshallah, Saturday, September 21st, and we're still a way ahead, but we will be celebrating the legacy of our Prophet, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And as we've had in the past, it will be panel of speakers, inshallah, presenting their talks on a variety of topics as well as poetry and other things. Amongst them will be a skit presented by the students of Sadiq School as well. So that program, inshallah, will highlight speakers from Ahl Sunnah as well as our own. So Ahl Sunnah will have Imam Jawad Ahmad as well as Chaplain Yasser Aslam, myself, and the keynote speech will be, inshallah, by Syed Mustafa Qazwini from California. So that program, inshallah, will be on Saturday, September 21st. It'll start with Dhuhran, but the announcement will continue to be, inshallah, made. So we have a couple more Fridays in between, and we'll continue to remind you. Sadiq School new academic year is starting, and still there's opportunity for you to enroll your children if you already have not done so. And there was a request for Surah Fatiha. I did not recite the names. Please recite another Surah Fatiha for the following marhumin: Gulbano bint Muhammad, Akbar Ali Walji, Zainab Walji, Hassan Ali, Barkat, Akbar, and all mu'mineen and mu'minat. Surah Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Siratal ladzina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Fajr Salat, inshallah, at 5:30 a.m. daily, but especially on the weekend, inshallah, with the Quran circle as well as the breakfast that is served downstairs. So 5:30 tomorrow morning, remember that. Let's recite dua sihat for all of those people who are in need of dua, those who are suffering, struggling, going through difficult time, here locally as well as abroad. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring an end to all their suffering. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ 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 أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ ويكشف السوء ويجعلكم خلفاء الأرض أإله مع الله قليلا ما تذكرون. Let's proceed to Salatul Asr. Please fill in the gaps, as I see a few gaps here and there. Move up closer and fill in the gaps. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العالى وبحمده الله أكبر استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العالى وبحمده الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر الحمد لله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمد الله أكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته يقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضعيف. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
ملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تسبيح.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام، وأسأله أن يتوب علي توبة عبد ذليل خاضع فقير بائس مسكين مستجير، لا يملك لنفسه نفعا ولا ضرا ولا موتا ولا حياة ولا نشورا. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من نفس لا تشبع، ومن قلب لا يخشع، ومن علم لا ينفع، ومن صلاة لا ترفع، ومن دعاء لا يسمع. اللهم إني أسألك اليسر بعد العسر، والفرج بعد الكرب، والرخاء بعد الشدة. اللهم ما بنا من نعمة فمنك، لا إله إلا أنت، أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
صل على محمد.
Madhuja Ziyarat today is Ziyarat of Rasulullah and Imam Hassan. Briefly, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum ya Nabiyullah ya Rasulullah ya Muhammad ibn Abdullah अस्सलाम अलैका या ख़ातम नबिय्यीन या खीरतल्लाह या हबीबल्लाह या सफ़तल्लाह। अस्सलाम अलैका या अमीनल्लाह अशहदु अन्नका क़द बल्लग़्त रिसाला व नसाता व क़द नसाता लिउम्मतिका व जाहदता फ़ी सबील रब्बिका व अमरता बिल मअरूफ़ व नहयता अनिल मुनकर व बतल्लाह मुख़लिसन तत्ताक़ीन फ़जज़ाकल्लाह या रसूलल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम जज़ाअन अन उम्मती मुहम्मदिन व आले मुहम्मद अब्सलमा सल्लल्लाहु तआला इब्राहीम व आले इब्राहीम इन्नका हमीदुम मजीद। अस्सलाम अलैका या अमीरुल मोमिनीन या कसीमुल जन्नति व अन्नार। अस्सलाम अलैका या सय्यिदल आलमीन। अस्सलाम अलैका या इब्ना रसूलिल्लाह या इब्ना नबिय्यिल्लाह या इब्ना अमीरुल मोमिनीन या इब्ना फ़ातिमा ज़हरा। अस्सलाम अलैका या इब्ना खदीजतुल कुबरा। अस्सलाम अलैका या हबीबल्लाह या सफ़तल्लाह या अमीनुल्लाह या हुज्जतुल्लाह। अस्सलाम अलैका या नूरुल्लाह। अस्सलाम अलैका या सिरातल्लाह। अस्सलाम अलैका या लिसान हिकमतल्लाह या नासिर दीनिल्लाह या। अस्सलाम अलैका या सय्यिदुल ज़की। अस्सलाम अलैका अय्युल आलिम बित तंज़ील। अस्सलाम अलैका अय्युल हादिल महदी। अस्सलाम अलैका या ताहिरुल ज़की। अस्सलाम अलैका अय्युस सिद्दीक़ुश शहीद अय्युल हक़्क़ुल हक़ीक़। अस्सलाम अलैका या अबा मुहम्मदिल हसन अली व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। अस्सलाम अलैकुम या अहल बैत नबुव्वह जमीअन व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। अस्सलाम अलैका साहिबुल अस्र व ज़मान या खलीफतुर रहमान या इमाम अल इंस वल जान या काबतुल ईमान या तफ़सीरुल फ़ुरक़ान। अस्सलाम अलैका शरीकुल क़ुरआन। अस्सलाम अलैका इमाम ज़मानना अज्जलल्लाहु फ़रजक व सहलल्लाहु महरजक व ज़हूरक